Welcome to the regular meeting of the Entertainment and Facilities Committee. I will not be joined by anyone today. This will be a committee of one. And so everything we move forward will be through the instructions from the chair. But we do have a pretty packed agenda anyway. And there are no general public comment cards from what I can see, just some comment cards specific to the items. So what I'll do at this time is I will close general public comment card period, and we'll just go right to the items. I am going to move item 5 on consent, and we're going to start with item number 6. If you would please read the item, Mr. Espinosa.
And Mr. Chair, for item number 5, the city attorney has submitted a revised ordinance dated May 5th, 2017, and they'd like that ordinance considered as opposed to the other ones on the file.
Okay, the one dated May 5th.
They want one that they just submitted dated May 8th.
Oh, May 8th. Okay. All right. So that's what we'll do. We'll move that item on consent dated May 8th. Thank you. All right. So we will go to item number 6.
Item number 6 is a motion from Council members Buscaino and Harris-Dawson relative to executing a lease with the Croatian Consulate for city-owned property located at 643 South Pacific Avenue in San Pedro.
Wonderful. And I see the Honorable Rudy Zvornich here, Councilmember Zvornich. So, sir, would you like to speak on this item?
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Mr. Chairman, colleague, thank you so very much, and it's always nice to be back at City Hall. We'd like to thank you so very much for your expediting this hearing today. This is a historic moment for the community of San Pedro and the city of Los Angeles. Back in the late 1990s, there was an old bank building in downtown San Pedro that was a beautiful, historic, Gothic bank building that was at one time owned by Security Pacific. And the building was either going to be misused or razed. And at that time, working with many of the folks who are here today, which I'll ask to stand in a moment, we were able to save this historic building in downtown San Pedro, probably one of the most stately buildings in downtown San Pedro, in addition to the Warner Grand. And we were able to save this building and turn it into the Croatian Cultural Center of Greater Los Angeles. We now have an opportunity, working with the Consulate General of the Republic of Croatia in Los Angeles, to repurpose this building as the consulate offices for the Republic of Croatia while maintaining the cultural component on the first floor. It's a significant milestone for the Croatian community in the greater Los Angeles area. It's a significant milestone for the city of Los Angeles. And because of your love of preserving the parts of Los Angeles that sometimes disappear, as I do, we appreciated, again, you expediting this in committee. We appreciated Councilman Buscaino's leadership in regards to bringing the motion forward. We appreciate the Consul General of the Republic of Croatia, Dr. Siniša Grgić, for wanting to relocate the consulate offices to San Pedro. And with us today, Mr. Chairman, are many members of the Croatian American community here in Los Angeles that support this motion and would like to see the council act on this tomorrow in an affirmative way. And may I please ask them to all stand today who came from near and far of the Croatian community in support of this. Our Consul General, Dr. Grgić, is with us here today as well. And as you can see, to have this sort of a turnout in committee is something that the Croatian community is unanimous in purpose of supporting, and we would like this to be sent forthwith to the council. And again, we'd like to thank you for scheduling this so quickly, and for Councilman Buscaino's leadership and the support of the Croatian community and our Consul General, and we thank you for it.
My pleasure. Thank you for your leadership. And I believe you are the founder of the Croatian
Yes, sir.
Friends of
The founding, under my administration, we purchased the building shortly before, I think around the same time maybe as the Warner Grand Theater. So we were able to purchase and repurpose to city usage 2 buildings that were probably going to be torn down.
Fantastic. We all know those buildings.
Yeah.
Anyone who's been down to San Pedro knows those buildings.
Yeah, and now here we are these many years later, seeing something really good happen with them.
It sounds like a great turn of events. Yeah, terrific. Thank you.
Thank you,
so
sir.
much, Rudy. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll have Sena Denktas, I believe. Did I say that right? Yes. Please step forward. Yes.
Actually, I am the advocate to do community today. I'm one of the board member, and my name is Sena Denktaş. I'm honored to be here. And we have a opposition to the motion. We like to present the motion, but unfortunately, we received the information last night from the Mr. Jacob Haig at 11:37 p.m. This is the public, open public, so we have less than 24 hours to oppose this. But we have a committee representative coming, and she's her way right now, and she's going to present the opposition. If you give us a kind enough extension to present our opposition to you, and for either tomorrow or another a time. And also, I have an advocate. As an advocate, I have a small opinions about the whole situation. Do you mind if I can read it?
You just have, I'll add another minute. We'll do 2-minute comments today since there are so few.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So make the most of your
well,
remaining minutes, sure.
As you know, that Friend of Croatian Culture Center is a non-profit organization working with the communities, large individual artists, consulars corps, Los Angeles civic, state, and federal organization. We have organized 101 individual and group international events since 2009, and in last 8 years with the president of Maya Bristol. In 51 countries we work around the world, and 82 Croatian events prepared, and 252 LA events community. So altogether 435 events, which means that 6 events every month would happen. So we have a huge community benefit, not just only for the Croatians, for the whole entire, but in the meantime, we have a school, and Croatian school, and we have a dancing program, and a Škola Croatica, and Zanat, and also we have a Mexican dancing, Peruvian dancing, a reader theater repertoire, senior citizen groups, Izvar singing, and so on and so forth. So in this case, we have to cancel that 15 events related with the different countries' consul generals according to this motion.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. And next we have Consul General Gergich. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
You bet.
Councilman O'Farrell, thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity to present Consul General of Croatia in the United States. As you know, Consul General of the Republic of Croatia has been founded here in 1997, so we celebrate our 20th anniversary about the same date as today. So. And we are, as you know, located currently on Wilshire Boulevard in a building with 8 other consulates, so it's one of the building with largest number of consulates in the world, maybe. And I personally live in Santa Monica, which is a really nice place. So I just give you this as an illustration that moving to San Pedro is actually for us, when look our private life is maybe not so like living in San Pedro area, like being in West Los Angeles. Of course, my predecessors all appreciate living in Beverly Hills, and me in Santa Monica.
Must be nice.
Yes, but we are doing this because of Croatian community and because the community lives there. So I'm not sure if you know, we have about 1 million people in the United States of Croatian descent. Out of them, 300,000 live in our consular area. Our consular area covers 19 states, from Texas all the way up to Dakotas, then to California and Alaska and Hawaii. So it's 60% of the U.S. territory. And we have on this in this area we have roughly 300,000 plus people of Croatian descent. 1/3 of them live in California, so roughly 100,000. So half of that number is in San Pedro area. So this is the largest concentration of Croatians in the United States on one certain place. So that's why we think moving to San Pedro gives benefit for the community, and also for us serving this community, because we are here to serve our people. And I appreciate the council of City Council of Los Angeles because you are doing the same. And maybe just also to say how grateful we are, not just to the city council, but the previous city councilman, Rudy Svorinic, who made this actually happen, and to the community here. And this community is represented now with the umbrella organization, which is Croatian National Association and Foundation. And this organization has many organizations under itself, and it's the largest organization of all Croatian associations here in Southern California. And so with their assistance, together with the Friends existing organization, which is running the club, so the Friends of the Croatian Cultural Center, which we would like to support most of their activities and continue cooperate with them. So we think we could keep this cultural component within the cultural center, and we look forward to work closely with all of them. So thank you again for giving us this unique opportunity to present.
Sure, and thanks for educating all of us on the center of the Croatian community in LA. Did not know that there was such a concentration in San Pedro.
Yes, as Mr. Svorinic was elected as
Right.
Croatian American to the city council.
Right, it's the Croatians versus the Italians, right? Just kidding, no.
I think, of course, we are very grateful to Councilman Joe Buscaino
Sure.
because he is now our representative and, Croatian community representative in the city council. So we are grateful, of course, to him and to all of you. Thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you. I mean, I know what how nice it is. We have the Guatemalan consulate in the 13th district now, closer to a large population of Guatemalan Americans. So I know what a resource having a consulate located in a specific district, what that can do. That's terrific.
And a small remark just about the lady that was here. So I met her at organizing many Turkish council events. So I'm very happy that we also developed a relationship with other consulates, of course.
Terrific. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're good. I see no reason not to approve this motion. We'll approve the motion so we can move this forward. And I'm sure that whatever differences may exist with some members of the Friends of the Cultural Center will be worked out. And it sounds like a giant step in the right direction to me. So I'll approve the motion. Thank you. Sure. And that brings us, we'll now go back into the order to item number 1.
Item number 1 is a motion from council members O'Farrell and Koretz relative direct mailing outreach strategy for compliance with the minimum wage ordinance.
Thank you so much. And we have, I know, Kim Fitzpatrick? Yes. And then Brooks Baker. Anyone from LADWP? Okay. Do you want to come up just in case there might be questions we might add, or even if you don't, you can. Thank you so much. So, yes, welcome. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Thank you for the opportunity to share with you our outreach strategy for the upcoming increase in the minimum wage. We have distributed some handouts with some graphics on the front. Excellent. Okay. As you know, this particular year is significant. It's the first year that the city's minimum wage increase will affect small businesses who have fewer than 26 employees. It's also significant because it represents the largest annual increase for the large businesses. So with this in mind, we worked very hard to expend the resources that you've provided for us as wisely and as best as we could. I'd like to start with a brief overview of the outreach that we've done to date. Our Bureau of Contract Administration staff has performed 168 in-person educational visits to businesses. We've sent emails to over 230,000 businesses, and we've distributed over 4,500 informational materials to city offices and departments. We've also used our list of pre-qualified on-call consultants to perform outreach to over 38,000 businesses and over 24,000 employees. With July 1st quickly approaching, we're starting to roll out our multimedia outreach campaign. With a budget of $340,000, we'll be utilizing a variety of strategies in 12 languages to reach many of our diverse communities throughout the city. We'll be utilizing bus advertisements, digital and online ads, newspaper ads, radio, and posters in public transit hubs. The strategies we're using combined will be able to reach over 50 million sets of eyes and ears. The committee asked for a report on what a direct mail strategy would look like. We obtained the mailing list from the Office of Finance, and we were able to sort for businesses located in the city limits. Unfortunately, the Office of Finance does not collect information on the number of employees in each business, so we're not able to filter out small businesses. That left us with a population of about 405,000 businesses located in the city limits. We asked the Department
And that's total.
Yes, yes. We obtained an estimate from GSD for the cost of printing a postcard that we could mail to these businesses. The production costs were $16,000, and the mailing cost to send the postcards was $166,050, which totals just over $182,000. The Office of Finance did share with us that because businesses frequently move and close, some of these addresses would not be accurate. Given our limited resources, we moved forward with the multimedia strategy that we felt would reach the most number of eyes and ears. In order to supplement our work, we also reached out to our partners at the Department of Water and Power, and they have been very cooperative and helpful, and we provided a graphic, which we've provided a copy of, and I think I'll perhaps toss it over to Mr. Baker from here.
Yes, thank you. So we intend to run that graphic ad in English and Spanish in Connections and Conexiones, which is the customer newsletter that appears in every bill. So 1.5 million customers will receive that bill in our May-June issue, which starts running later this week. And it'll be running for 2 solid months, so a little bit into July.
That's terrific. Yeah. And so will that get mailed out and be on the electronic or just electronic?
No, it's absolutely. It's mailed out, and then our online customers, when they go to download their bill, it'll be in there as well.
Terrific. Wonderful. And so that's with this minimum wage increase. I should know this, but I haven't revisited it in months. But what's the next one after this one? After the July 1st, what's the next one?
Well, the state's minimum wage will increase next January 1st,
Right.
but ours will kick in the following July 1st.
Okay,
So
so
our
yearly
schedule is
now.
annually on July 1st.
And hopefully annually we'll be able to do this partnership so that annually, I'm just going to put that out
We
there.
would love to.
I'm just gonna, yeah, because I think that the discussion that we had months and months ago in this committee is we don't want to so much focus on a punitive approach. We want to focus on an educational approach so that the small businesses that oftentimes the proprietor, English isn't their first language, if we, in an overabundance of outreach, make sure that employers know the new law, then that's better than waiting and trying to go after them punitively for violating the new law. But that sounds great. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, please continue.
That concludes my report.
That concludes it. Okay, and you've answered many of the questions that I had already. So it would seem that it doesn't look as though you're facing too many limitations on outreach, although a lot of more funding would certainly help you outreach even more and more and more. But at a certain point, are the chambers involved as well?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. We have one of our on-call consultants working with the chambers, and we've also been reaching out to them electronically on a periodic basis.
And then the other avenues of communication, the neighborhood groups, the improvement associations, the neighborhood councils, the other business groups. I imagine if you get far and wide enough in all of these platforms.
Yes, absolutely. They've been a great resource, and we've been able to partner with some of them and attend some outreach events. We'll be going to a business fair in Boyle Heights next month, and then we're attending an event at the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce in a couple weeks. So they've been very helpful, and they've been very responsive as well in seeking our information.
Okay. Terrific. I think, anything to add, Mr. Baker?
All, thank you.
Ms. Fitzpatrick? We're good. So, terrific. So what I'm going to do is approve the motion with the additional instruction. Instruct the Bureau of Contract Administration to report back quarterly with status updates related to outreach efforts, enforcement activity, and any recommendations, if needed, to better effectuate the minimum wage ordinance. So I think that'll kind of keep it fresh in our memory so that we don't, forget that these timelines are important and we move on without doing the kind of follow-up work that we sometimes don't always keep in mind when we pass ordinances like this, so that we assume that people know, but they don't always. So, all right. So that's what we'll do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is easy. I don't have to ask for votes. I just get to decide what to do. Let me think of what else I can think of over here. They say a committee of one gets things done, right? Thank you. All right. So that'll move us to item 2.
Item number 2 is a report from the Bureau of Contract Administration relative to employer input regarding implementation of the Fair Chance Initiative for Hiring Ordinance.
All right.
All right. Good afternoon. Again, Kimberly Fitzpatrick, Bureau of Contract Administration. This committee asked the Bureau of Contract Administration and the Economic Workforce Development Department to seek out input from employers on how we can assist them in implementing the Fair Chance Initiative for Hiring Ordinance, or also known as Ban the Box. We worked with EWDD to solicit feedback from over 1,000 businesses. We received 25 responses, and it varied from suggestions to comments, both positive and negative. The feedback we got was very helpful in helping BCA target its resources to develop some tools that we believe have addressed some of the major concerns that the businesses presented. For example, our website now has rules and regulations, official posters that businesses can use in their workplace, sample forms, answers to frequently asked questions, and we also drafted a step-by-step guideline to help employers navigate the hiring process, and that's included as attachment A in your packet. Okay. We're very proud of this document. We were able to get feedback from your office as well as the Mayor's Office of Reentry, and we got to pilot the chart with a number of businesses and hiring executives. So we feel like...
Do I have it? Oh, sorry. Oh, there we go. Okay.
We feel like we've been fairly successful in trying to sort of demystify what appears to be a very complex process into sort of a step-by-step procedure that businesses can follow. We have also worked on a form that employers can use. It's a simple one-page form when they go through the process of hiring that'll walk them through the steps so that they know they've done the basic things to comply. These were all items that the employer input requested. So we were very happy to learn from that input and to be able to put it into practice. Another one of the suggestions was for a list of exempted industries or positions, and the city attorney's office is working on that currently. The committee also asked us to provide a list of other outreach options and the resources that would be required, which is included in the report. We have utilized our existing resources as best we can, and we feel that we have been able to accomplish quite a few of the things, and certainly addressed the main suggestions that the employers requested.
And when does this go into effect? Does it go into effect July 1?
The ordinance actually went into effect back in January,
did?
but
Okay.
but the enforcement and the penalties does not go into effect until July 1st.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. All right. Okay. And so I think the big question I have in terms of, since you're outreaching to all of the businesses anyway, how you can just kind of combine the efforts on minimum wage and ban the box at the same time. And what are your thoughts on that?
That's definitely a strategy that we've tried to employ. When we do our door-to-door outreach with our own staff, we bring information and posters covering both ordinances. We've also have 2 task order solicitations that will be starting in later in this month, and it will involve work that's performed into August by our on-call contractors. They will be going door to door, and they will also be notifying businesses about the Fair Chance Ordinance in addition to minimum wage.
And any budget sort of requests related to outreach and related to the enforcement piece beginning in July?
The Bureau did request 2 positions in our previous budget request, and we have received 7 positions in the UB. We have worked with the mayor's office, the CAO, and we've reached out to the Budget and Finance Committee through Council Member Krikorian to clarify that language, to give us flexibility to utilize those positions to enforce and perform outreach for the Fair Chance Initiative in addition to minimum wage.
Right.
And we feel that we'll be successful with that effort, and that will give us the flexibility that should the workload materialize, we'll be able to access those positions.
And I think one outreach effort will be less confusing to small businesses as well. Say, here's the news. We've got the fair wage ordinance, and we've got the minimum wage ordinance kicking in, rather than 2 different hits, right? It'll be less efficient that way. Okay. How about DWP, again, with their notices and partnering with your department on this type of information?
We would love to explore that with them. We haven't yet because of the July 1st deadline,
Right.
or increase for the minimum wage. So that's where our focus was. I know that their resources are limited as far as how much space they have in their newsletter. So
Right.
I would have to defer to them, but we would love to do that.
I wonder if maybe we could ask them to do something mid-year or at a later time, since it may be too late to include it for the July, well, for the notice that's about to go out. Clearly it's going to be too late. But maybe a little later we could ask them again.
We will certainly do that.
Yeah. Okay, terrific. All right, so what I'll do is I'll note and file the BCA report dated May 4th of this year. Request LADWP to report on potential opportunities to include the Fair Chance Hiring Initiative information on DWP billings or other departmental mailings, and electronic outreach as well. And then instruct the Bureau of Contract Administration to report back quarterly with status updates related to outreach efforts, enforcement activity, and any recommendations, if needed, to better effectuate the Fair Chance Initiative for hiring ordinance. And those are my instructions. And thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Fitzpatrick. And that takes us to item 3. Yes.
Item number 3 is a motion from Council Members O'Farrell and Martinez relative to the Uniformed Fire Safety Officers Guidelines for filming activities.
And you know something, before you come up, Chief, if I could have, I have one card from Sarah Walsh. Hello, Ms. Walsh.
Hello.
How are you?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Sarah Walsh, and I'm here today on behalf of the Motion Picture Association of America. In November of 2015, at a meeting of the City Film Task Force, the Fire Department proposed a 50% increase in the hourly rates charged to film and television productions requiring a uniformed fire safety officer. These rates are charged at a 4-hour minimum. The department committed to implement the increase over 3 years, as well as to expand the types of productions eligible for a spot check, which allows a UFSO to stop by a routine production rather than be on full assignment. The film and television community was told that an expansion of the spot check program would be implemented to keep costs down for productions without compromising the safety of cast, crew, and the general public. However, 18 months later, while we continue discussions, we still have not seen an expansion of the spot check program. In the meantime, one fee increase has already gone into effect, and a second is scheduled to happen at the beginning of the city's fiscal year. We urge the committee to approve this motion, and we look forward to resolving this issue as quickly as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, we get that you're here. Can you just like tone it down there? We get that you're here. The whole room knows you're here. You're filling out your card. All right, so with that, let's have Eva Bitar from the Board of Public Works. John, you're already up here, and then Denise Guchis with Film LA. Yeah. Oh, I'm on the wrong one? I'm sorry. What am I thinking? I was distracted. We have Assistant Chief Crowley, my apologies, and Captain Jeff Palmer with the LAFD Film Unit.
Good afternoon, Council Member. Appreciate you having us here. My name is Kristen Crowley, and I'm the Fire Marshal for the Los Angeles Fire Department. I'm here to present to you on a verbal report back regarding our Uniform Fire Safety Officer Program guidelines and also the decision-making process that requires our Uniform Fire Safety Officers for filming activities. To this date, we've had multiple meetings that were held with representatives from the Fire Department, as well as the Motion Picture Association of America, Film LA, the Mayor's Office, as well as the United Firefighters of Los Angeles City to discuss our USFO hiring guidelines and also possible cost-saving measures for the filming industry. According to the motion, the first one I'll be speaking about is whether or not the LAFD guidelines should be made public. We're currently still in active talking points and speaking with the other stakeholders, so I'd be happy to report back once we come to a resolution. So we're still actively talking about that and whether or not this should be a forward-facing public document. But we are prepared to act if that is the will of the Fire Commission as well as City Council. The second part that I'd like to speak about is our actual decision-making process of how we created our USFO, that's our Uniform Fire Safety Officer and Spot Check guidelines. So we have a number of different areas in which we've pulled from. One of the biggest areas was our filming in California by the California State Fire Marshal Motion Picture and Entertainment Unit. This was actually a published handbook that was adopted by most of the fire departments across California. That's where it actually assists us in with the regulations of most filming locations and when it's a change of use. There's a number of other large entities that we pull from as well, and that has to do with the California Health and Safety Code, the California Fire Code, Chapters 48, Chapters 24, and Chapter 6, and there's a big laundry list behind that as well. Chapter 19, the California Code of Regulations, as well as our Fire Safety Officer Manual and the California Film Commission, which is their production alert. So that's where we pulled our guidelines from, and that has to do, again, specifically with our USFO guidelines as well as our spot checks. And thirdly, in response to the concerns from all parties to streamline the filming process, the LAFD has modified two specific criteria from our hiring a USFO officer to the spot check criteria. So we have modified those two since we've met with all the stakeholders, and we're comfortable with modifying those from this point forward. We also understand that the importance of the transparency and educating the industry of our hiring guidelines for the USO and spot check is very important. So we'll continue to keep an open dialogue for any changes to the USFO hiring guidelines and procedures, and we'll continue along with the guidelines and keep you updated on any things that are moving forward.
Okay. Terrific. Sounds good, and it sounds like the conversations have gone well. I've gotten the reports throughout the process, and that everyone's kind of landing on the same page with this, a reasonable, logical way forward. And I look forward to see how the rest of the conversations go in relation to the publishing the guidelines, et cetera.
Absolutely.
Okay. Terrific. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Now, just as I was bringing you up, and I was really had closed the comments for three, but you handed me two more at the exact same time. So in an abundance of making sure that every voice is heard, we have David, I can't read the last name, I'm terribly sorry, from the AICP. Phelps? It's Phelps. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thanks, David. I know you. But before you come, we'll have Herman. You filled out a comment on 3 as well.
Well, Well, I just want to state for the record that Joe Busciano and Paul Krikorian are not here, so we don't have a quorum. So I'm sure you're going to have to shelve some of these ideas.
Thanks for pointing that out to me. Thank you.
Yeah. But besides that, since you, Mr. O'Farrell, are on this relative instructing of fire safety officers regarding the film of LA, I advise you and caution you that due to the prevention and the possible potential of liability if people are injured and hurt, while there is such a presence of cost-saving measures don't mean a fucking thing. What matters is that the safety of the public, the safety of our fire department is first in all matters of interpretation or presentation of all public safety. So down to my last 3 seconds, I can only advise you is do a better fucking job. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Phelps.
Good afternoon, David Phelps with the Association of Independent Commercial Producers on behalf of its member companies. We're here to express our support for the motion. We have been working with the city and the county's fire departments on streamlining guidelines for the spot check program. And this is especially important to our industry as 3 out of every 4 shoot days are shot on location for our members. So the availability and affordability of the fees related to on-location filming is especially sensitive in our industry. And we encourage additional measures be made for making or expanding the spot check program and allowing for companies that regularly visit a location, allow them some leniency in terms of making it a better way to get access without compromising any safety, public safety.
All right. Terrific. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll approve the motion. We're good with that. And that moves us to item 4.
Item number 4 are reports from the Chief Legislative Analyst and the Board of Public Works Office of Film Television Production relative to a plan to administer and monitor the Film LA contract.
Now we have Eva Bitar and Mr. Wickham and Ms. Kuches. No. There we go. We've got Paul Audley. It's all good.
There's John Wickham with the CLA's office. There's a lot of information to share with you today. I didn't know quite where you'd like to start. The CLA is here to report on the information systems, and Ms. Bitar's here to report on everything else.
Okay. Information systems sounds like a good place to start.
Okay, terrific. The council instructed the CLA to work with Film LA and city departments regarding information systems and how we can try and make these the communications between Film LA and their permitting process and the departments a little more efficient. And there are 4 areas where there's an immediate focus. The first is at Film LA. Their ops, is that how you call it? The ops. Their main data system is undergoing a significant amount of work. They've done some work to upgrade the system that they have now, but they're actually working to replace that entire system. And they've been hiring contractors to help with all the processes on both sides of that. And if I remember correctly, their initial plan for the new system, it was going to be a 2 to 3 year process to roll that out. And I understand it's going to happen much sooner than was originally planned. It's only about 18 months now. Okay. And as a result, that creates both some opportunities to be more efficient in the work that we're doing. But as a result, we might do some of the things that we were planning to do a little bit later. So since we don't want to do something in the current, amend or fix something in the current system and then 18 months later do it again, in some of these cases it may make sense to hold off a little bit on some of the work that needed to be done. In one of those cases was having Film LA start accepting credit cards for payment. On the one hand, creating that in the current system and then 18 months later creating it again was an excessive cost. And it didn't make sense to do that. So from a practical standpoint, it makes sense to hold off for 18 months. In addition, it turns out that there are 2 federal court cases, I believe, that impact this area of the fees associated with credit cards. There's a 3 to 4% charge on when you use credit cards. And currently, Film LA is not able to recover that cost in the charge process. As a result, that results in it's like a couple $100,000 hit to their budget to cover those costs. Yearly. And so that's a significant impact on their budget. It would require that they increase the film fees, et cetera, in order to balance out their budget. And so the outcome of these court cases will be very helpful in guiding how Film LA can move forward on the credit card process.
And what's the timing of those court cases?
Roughly. Yeah, it's probably end of the year. There was some recent activity in the last week or two.
In New York.
So,
we have one in New York and one in California.
Okay.
So yeah, so as soon as there's direction from the courts, then that will be able to guide Film LA in how to deal with credit cards in the revised new ops that's coming along. So that's Film LA. They're making great progress in bringing in the contractors and getting to work on the improvement to their system. The 3 departments in order of priority that are also being worked on are Rec and Parks, DOT, and the Fire Department. Rec and Parks, it's their reservation system. That's been really a key problem for the film industry because Rec and Parks had been doing some things on paper, and they've been doing some things on computer, and Film LA's got their computer. So the whole idea was to bring this together, and that is proceeding very well. They're going into the testing phase this month, I believe, and so that's getting to the point where that will be rolled out. There were a couple of delays. Rec and Parks had some changes that they had requested the system, some add-ons and such. So that's all been worked out. They're starting to test, and so hopefully within the next month or two, this will be seamless. Location managers will be able to put in the information they need. We won't have people putting in information multiple. Like each department and office was putting in the information multiple times, so it'll only need to be put in once, right? So that's great progress. When we released our report, we had not heard from DOT. As soon as we released the report, the information came in. So yeah, of course. So it's unfortunate the timing there, and I would actually ask that we amend the CLA report to remove item number 1, and which was asking DOT to report. DOT has been updating their Teams system, and again, we're talking about coordination of information on Teams. That will be it's related to the public way reservation system and the signs, the do not park signs, and organizing all of that information. They've been going through a lot of upgrades, and if I can find my notes real quick, they had expected to be done in January, but it turns out that they needed to upgrade their servers, and that was a 2-month process to transfer everything over. And they are now 95% complete. They have begun testing the system, and within the next few weeks, will actually be taking it out to beta users to test. So they expect within the next couple of months to be able to roll that out as well. So we will have taken care of DOT and Rec and Parks within the next couple of months in terms of coordinating all of these information systems, which will be great. And then, let me see, both departments have been working with Film LA to make sure that, it integrates into ops. Finally, with the fire department. The fire department information systems are not as advanced as other departments. They've been working in access databases and other systems that really don't integrate with ops or anything, really. Yeah. So we're at a point now where I think the best recommendation would be for the fire department to meet with several city departments. They've been doing so. But if they could meet with several cities, CLA, CAO, Public Works, Film LA, so we can really get a grasp of what the information system needs are at the fire department and how that can integrate into ops and what FMLA is doing to make sure we have some coordination here. It looks like we need to do some work to identify their business needs, and that's probably going to require some resources, some financial resources to help the department get to that point and move forward. So they're on a much longer track in terms of getting this work done.
Okay. Thank you. It's very helpful. I'm modifying my recommendations as you speak.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Chairman. Eva Bitar, Citywide Filming Liaison in
Welcome.
Board of Public Works. Thank you. I'm the contract administrator for the Film LA contract, which is a 4 or 5 years of extension. So we are in the second of the fourth. And the... oh, am I not on?
Just bring it closer to your...
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay, thanks. Film LA is our contractor to coordinate the permits for filming, and the LAPD is actually in charge of the approval process of those permits. But the coordination through the different departments and the fees and the collection of the fees comes through Film LA, and anything that's outside of that area will that requires changes into what we need to do with the departments comes to me, and that's I liaise between Film LA and the different departments to make sure that we're able to accommodate the needs of the filmmakers. Film LA is that's their core service, but there are 7 different areas that Film LA also provides services to the city, and that's in community relations. They have 2 people in the community relations department that are very familiar with the communities and the neighborhoods, and they go out to the neighbors and talk to them about any issues that may be related to excessive filming, parking, whatever needs of the... Other than there's also several monitors out there that go on in sensitive areas depending on neighborhood agreements, and then they liaise between the neighborhoods and the filmmakers. They advocate for us on issues. They attract and retain business going out to events and sponsor several different areas. They go out and speak to students, the emerging filmmakers. They sponsor many areas that bring in more filming into the city of LA. They have 13 jurisdictions that they provide the services in. And I believe, did you just obtain another one? Are you now up to Culver City? Yeah, that's great. And that's a plus for us, because as they obtain more, then that it's seamless for the filmmaker to be able to obtain local permits without having to go to different agencies and convolute the process. There are several contracting reporting criterias in the agreements, and some are on an annual basis, some on a monthly, quarterly, and so on. You have a chart before you that on the first page, they're made up of 4 pages under Exhibit A. That in the first page tells you what is expected of them on an annual basis, and the second page is what's expected on a quarterly basis. Third page describes them what's expected on a monthly basis, and then ad hoc and whatever is needed based on what we in the city ask of them, or if they have any changes within their policy and they change anyone on the board or any of their bylaws, anything that's not non-proprietary. If you'd like to, I can discuss with you what are these reports, if that's something that you'd like. But on an annual basis, they provide us with their annual budget, and within the budget, we're looking for certain criteria, and this is how much money they have in their reserve fund. We like them to have an average of 2 monthly, the average of 2 months, or I'm sorry, the average of 2 months, largest 2 months in the year. And that's what we expect them to have in the reserve. Film LA has been conscious about increasing that reserve because of the ops system that they are developing, and so they have been for a while adding some extra funding in there to make sure that they are able to pay for all of those services. They also have a certified annual audited financial system that comes in right before the board meets, 180 days before the end of the fiscal year. We worked together when we last met November 30th with the different departments having to do with the ops and integration. We met with Fire and we met with DOT and we met with Rec and Parks and updated the needs of the systems. They are acting on a capacity of advising the departments of what they will need in order for it to talk to ops. Teams is the strongest. They've worked very closely with Rec and Parks, and they so far have endured about $100,000 in expenses to make sure that the Rec and Park system is compatible with the new ops system that will be rolled out. We also receive a report on an annual basis that tells us what waivers that they have given on behalf of productions out there and what type of productions are receiving those type of waivers. These reports usually will come in August. The end of August is when we roll out the end of the year reports with Film LA. On a quarterly basis, we receive the complaint, technology, permit volumes, amounts collected, refund claims that are paid, retained, the summary of comparisons between the different quarters and the previous quarters, notification volumes, and amounts collected and segregated from different contractors or the contract clients that they have. We receive a profit and loss statement, and we also, again, look at the reserve and the cash balance that they have in those reports. We, on a monthly report basis, we receive their complaint data and records and background. These also come to all the different council offices. And at the end of the year, they'll give us the nature. The majority of these complaints are not necessarily for the service of Film LA. Typically, they are very much associated with parking that we are not able to provide the productions, parking that is not available for, or it may inhibit the parking for the neighborhoods. And so parking seems to be the largest, but it is a very small percentage of complaints, considering the volume of work that they do. And then there's, of course, we receive a list of customers and the production and types of filming that's going on. We reconcile those reports, and then the fees are remitted on a monthly basis to the controller's office based on what they collect. They collect on behalf of all of the departments that provide services for the film industry, which is the largest four would be DOT, DWP, Harbor, and Fire and LAPD, the five. There are other departments that also collect fees, and there are a smaller number, but this is the largest five that provide services. And the last thing that we have is within 90 calendar days of completing, this is a new item in the contract, and that is client refunds of fees. Film LA has a policy that within 90 days of the conclusion of a film permit, that if a client is due a refund and has not requested that refund, Film LA will email them and send them in the mail a notice that they are due a refund, and from that point on, they have 30 days to request that refund, of which Film LA has been generous, and since this is a new program, they've been a little more flexible with the timing of people.
And Eva, what are the nature of the fees? Are they deposits or are they?
So when there are estimates, when a filmmaker is taking a permit, it is estimated of what's expected of them, of us to provide in services. So they may require a USFO, and then they may a spot check, and so on. And often Film LA has to charge the highest number of, or highest amount, depending on the service. But then as we bill back, as the departments bill Film LA for the actual costs, we cannot take in all the costs that we've estimated. We can only take in the city the real costs. And so that would be the difference.
That's where you reconcile and you figure the difference.
And so the difference is what Film LA would be. And any unrefunded any unrefunded estimates, or if somebody does not make a request, that for that money is utilized for marketing purposes to advance the city of LA's view and marketing and areas like ops, many areas that are going to help us with the city to make sure that
So is the city the one that sends the refund checks, or is it Film LA?
Film LA.
Yeah, so it's no money's handled through the controller's office, right? It's just
No.
you report
Under the contract, we actually owe the money to the city, not the people who are working through us in the permit. And so we end up having to basically refund our customers when it comes time
Right.
for that.
Would a credit card payment system simplify that?
It will when we're able to.
Once we figure out where all that lands. Yeah, okay, because that way it's all done through the credit card. That's a service they can.
And then we know where to send the money. That's been the
Right.
problem in the past. So the credit card takes that
Just
problem
gets
away.
refunded to their credit card account as opposed to
And Film LA has been putting in a little extra in their reserve fund for that, because we're not, since this is the first 6 months that we are working on these refunds, that we are, that they are making sure that they have enough funds in their reserve to make sure that they can pay for them as they come through.
Okay. All right. Can I start asking a few questions?
Of course.
So I already kind of have, but has there been an increase or a decrease in these refund or overpayment of fees? Just even anecdotally, I mean.
No, it's not anecdotal. It's been a very substantial increase.
It
in
has.
that. Yeah.
And
So-
why is that, do you think?
Well, up until the program started, and I have to give credit to both city departments and EVA on this, we couldn't actually implement a good refund system because sometimes we weren't getting the final dispositions from departments till well after that 90 days had passed.
Got it.
And so we weren't able to even ask. Now, with it virtually being almost none ever make it past the 60-day point before we're reconciling, that has helped tremendously. And then because we're actively pushing to the clients for them to make the request, it's also increased it quite substantially. So somewhere in here is actually the chart of that information.
Was it in the report?
There. Yeah, so in last year, for example, in a year-to-date to the middle of March, the refund volume was 414 requests and about 425,000. And this year we've had 1,280 requests and $1,082,000. So it's a very substantial increase in the requests and in the refund process that is happening as a result of both the city's ability to get us the reconciliation quicker and the push to the client to get their refund request in.
Yeah, it's amazing what a lag in accounting can do, right? Okay, all right. And so I think I already know the answer to this one. There's no temporary way to accept credit card payments. That kind of already got answered. And so once you do accept credit card payments, it's going to be roughly the 3 to 4% is somewhere in the $250,000 a year range, over $200,000 in terms of fees, credit card fees.
Yeah, it goes up. That's the city.
Based on
fees,
right, based on the current volume.
Correct. And that's assuming that not everybody will be using a credit card. If they all did, it would go up quite a bit higher.
Good point.
And then that doesn't include our other clients, that if we offer it one place, we would have to offer it across the board.
Right.
Because, as you know, these permits can cross jurisdictions as
Right.
well.
And so the only way to offset that increase in fees is to, as far as credit card fees, is to increase permit fees. That's kind of the only alternative.
Well, the court cases we're watching actually would allow us to have, and the problem isn't on our fee part because that's not it. So we're not allowed to increase the amount of fees for the municipal clients we have to cover the charge. And so typically what you see in gas stations now is they'll have a cash price, which is really the inflated price, and then a discount or credit card price, which is higher, and then a discount cash, which is their actual price. The court cases are actually about a freedom of speech issue, saying you should be able to tell the customer what you're really doing. And to date, many states do not permit you to attach a credit card fee, so upcharging to cover it. Absent our ability to do that, it's problematic for us because we can't recover the costs, which are substantial for us, on the municipal fees we collect. And on ours, if it was just our permit fee piece, it wouldn't be a problem. But with $250,000 to $500,000 a year in lost revenues based on paying those credit card fees, it would be disastrous.
And so, are you confident that the monies that you're holding that are due to be refunded will get sent out, or do you think that some of that will just never be?
You mean around the credit cards, or
No, not credit cards. I'm kind of going all over the map here, but in terms of the overpayments. So I know that you have a pretty healthy amount of overpayments right now in an account. Are you confident that money will be refunded, most of it?
we're doing, I think, 70% of the refund money now. Is that right? Right, and so it's not a reserve account on
Right.
that. It's part of the revenues that we've had have been those unrefunded monies. But about 70% of the due revenues are now going out, which is up really substantially. And I'm not sure that we'll see a huge increase in that because we still see a lot of companies that finish production and disappear the next day. And they will never ask for a refund because they don't exist anymore. They have no place to take the money in. And that's why, under the contract terms and under the statements we make to our customers and our board, which is made up of those very folks, it goes into these processes to improve the systems, to market LA and the region, and to do better work for the communities in outreach. And that's what funds those programs. So what is happening actually is we've done much better on the refund process. We're cutting back the expenditures we have available for those other programs to make up for that.
And because of, are we losing any potential business due to these limitations in terms of payment and refunds and everything else? Is that a factor at all?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. Okay. All right. Anything else? No? Okay. See, it's just me. It's kind of, I feel like I'm boring everyone up here. It's like I can't go back and forth and see if anyone has anything to add. So I'll just jump right to my recommendations then. So we'll note and file the CLA report dated December 5th of 2016. We'll approve the recommendations in the CLA report dated May 3rd, 2017 to instruct the LAFD to report back on their system upgrades, working with all relevant departments to do so. I didn't jot down all the departments quickly enough that you mentioned, so I'll just leave it with all relevant departments because it sounds like there's a lot of work to do there. And then note and file the report from the Film LA contract administrator dated May 5th, 2017. Right? I think that covers it? Right? Okay. Terrific. Well, thank you. Great work and coordination with the Board of Public Works. Thank you so much. We've got Kevin James here. Thank you. And in my experience in working with Film LA and all the departments, it seems like there's a greater, collaboration than ever before in terms of clearing all the lines of communication and everything. And so I think it bodes very well for the future. And I look forward to hearing what these court cases,
Me too.
how that all lands.
Just the Second Circuit in New York ruled in favor of the free speech argument.
Okay.
New York is appealing.
Oh.
So it's not in place yet, but
Got
they've
it.
already agreed that, in fact, it should be allowed to state the true charges,
Right.
which would solve the problem.
Seems sensible to me, too. All right. Thank you so much. Fantastic. So seeing as there are no other items on the agenda, that completes this meeting. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.